Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into my channel. My name is Kreepers and I'm here today to talk about something that just happened. Now, I'm not sure if this is supposed to happen because the link disappeared. There was a link that was tweeted by Paladins to Lure of Paladins, basically. It's a lure that came up with 2.1 Fire and Ice patch that came out today. And this lore is related to Imani and how she became in contact with Paladins, and also who actually called her because of the Lichen being lit, if you guys remember, on the Dragon's Call event. Now, for some reason the link on Twitter disappeared, but the link to this itself, it's actually really simple. It is paladins.com/lore. So if you guys want to check it out, I'll actually make sure to leave the link in the description so you guys can check it out. But basically, after you enter, there's something like this: read lore below, and in here you have this amazing text. I already had the time to read through this, and I can tell you, as the shorter version, basically what happens is that the Paladins are gathered. Valera is talking about that the forces of the Magistrate has basically increased. They went from to instead of just being double, now they're actually triple, and things are going really rough. And all of a sudden, apparently, Imani shows up. Imani shows up saying that apparently they already had this sort of a connection before where they fought side by side with the warders, but she was the last warder, the last of the warders, pretty much as we know for her title. Now, one of the things she mentions is that supposedly Paladins or Valera lit the beacon to call Imani to help. But the thing is, then Valera said it was not us. It wasn't us who actually lit the beacon. So we were not the ones who called you. And then she got like really exalted, like, what? Don't tell me that like the Magistrate was the one who called me. And Valera proceeds to say that they were the first ones to actually get there. In case you guys remember the story, when we had the Dragon's Call event, there was this game mode where we would have a key, or like this huge orb, where we would have to grab it and basically deliver it on different opposite sides of the map to score points. Now, this was not the point of the lore. This is just a game mode for us to play, almost like score a goal or something. I honestly don't care. The problem here is that the story itself said that somebody lit the beacon out of nowhere. Just this is just a random patch. Like, somebody just lit the beacon, and only the person with the power, with the worthy, should be the one to claim the power. The power with the gloves that Imani holds, right? And in case you guys remember, after this patch, we got to see the Paladins, both Moji, Furia, and Xiaoling were the ones who actually survived and brought in the gloves. Then Dredge attacked the Paladins, sinking the chip, by the way, which was also on the lure, and he stole the glove. The problem is the dragon, back in the Dragon's Call Island, or whatever you want to call it, he actually got out of there, went after the power and attacked Dredge, killing him, supposedly. Then Dredge went down, he just basically sank, and he got saved by the Abyss and became like pretty much almost like a zombie, of whatever you want to call it, but basically being powered by the Abyss now. Then when Imani showed up, we have a cinematic where Imani basically fights Dredge, and Dredge even says, "A warder? How is this possible? I thought they were extinct for years." And so did the Paladins. She got her gloves, and from then she proceeded to go to Valera, which this is the point where we are right now. And then she was asking if it was actually Valera who called her, and Valera had said that no, the Magistrate was the first ones to actually get to the island, and so they were thinking there was that. All of a sudden, a figure in the back of the safe house where they were actually appeared, and this person was actually Jenos. And Jenos ended up saying, "Sorry, I took a little bit of time to reach here because I had this fight against a big armored man." All I can say is from this sentence alone, we get to see that Jenos did win the fight versus Khan. So this is actually good because we're getting lore from all the different things that we have gotten so far. And then there's even more information that has been talked about in here. So basically, Jenos admits to be the one who actually called Imani, because when he went into the stars, he talked to the moon, supposedly. I may be mistaken. I think it was that. It was something here that I bring a message from the stars, a message of your impending destruction. Basically, him explaining that he called Imani because she was the one meant to save the world from destruction, from the darkness, which they mention here later. The darkness is coming. I've spoken with the moon. So here you see, I've spoken with the moon, Jenos said casually, as if such a thing were possible. The darkness is coming. And here we already have this first initial talk about the moon, and we've seen many different trailers. For example, Kogat's trailer. On certain maps, we can see the moon. In all of these different little spots, we see the moon has been shattered. Now, this does make sense, which apparently Valera explains there was an event that ended up shattering the moon. And basically, a lot of the shards from the moon ended up falling into the planet where they are on the realm and ended up killing a lot of people. The only place not affected was the shattered desert. All the remains was the shattered desert. Or maybe I'm just reading it wrong. Some shards fell to the realm, and where they landed, they killed it all they touched. Valeria quickly sketched paths, and each path became an arrow pointing at one single location. All that remained was the shattered desert. Now, from this sentence, it could mean two things. Maybe shattered desert is the only place that did not get affected, or maybe Shattered Desert is the only place that has the remainings of the moon shatters that fell into the world. And maybe after this is where Imani nodded, then that's where we must go. That is where we must go. So from this conclusion alone, we get to see that the next event or the next lore part will be something in a desert. So I'm not sure if there's just going to be some sort of a lure related to Xialing, since Xialing is the desert wing. He comes from the desert, and also apparently he had some sort of a lure connected to Xin and Yang. And by the way, in here there's also mentioned Tyra, Cassie, Yang, and Talus, and even Grover and Makoa. They're all apparently parts of the Paladins, so that is completely confirmed. We already sort of knew that, so it was not too far away from that. But now with all this, we get to connect all the little pieces. Only one thing still remains, which is the part of the story that happens after Furia. I still want to see how that unfolds because, we just got to see that Furia went into the Abyss and attacked the Abyssal Lord, but she'd never saved Ceres. She never saved her sister. So maybe when they mention the darkness, maybe Ceres will be related to the end of the lore, or at least one of the biggest fights that we will end up seeing. Also, do remember that in certain lores, there were certain characters that were there, like for example, this guy on the Furia and Ceres lore. I can't remember if he had a name. I don't think he did. It was like just like a commander or something out of the magistrated forces, and I believe that guy may come up in the future. We're not still sure if Valera will be a playable character or Karn. Some people say that it should, some people say that it will, and some people say that, Harris or Evil Mojo have said themselves that it will not be playable. I mean, to be quite honest, Valera holds a goddamn crystal sword, which I don't know how that would work. Maybe like a beacon shooting something? I don't know. But to be quite honest, I like this part, all right? I know that apparently Overwatch is something almost like the same, where, things were getting a little bit stale, so they just released a text of lore in order to at least get something out there so people could just take their minds out of the drama happening. I could almost say the same thing for this, but it's not. Because this has a lot of ends connected all at the same time. So I wouldn't think this is something that was just invented in 10 minutes. So I'm actually really happy because one of the things I love about Paladins is the lore. And finally, we're seeing something here unfolding. Paladins related to Overwatch is really weak when it comes to lore because their stories and their animations and so on is, they're not as good. But seeing how it is unfolding, I'm actually liking this a lot, and hopefully they're actually going to bring out a great story with this, which we will be able to love. And if maybe one day we're not playing Paladins anymore, at least we can say that this had a great story behind it. So that is pretty much it for this video, guys. I'm pretty much just summing it up for you guys to not to have to read through all of this and not understand what's going on. But if you want to check this out, I'll try to leave the link in the description. It's basically just going to the website, paladins.com/lore, and you pretty much find it. But I'll still leave the link in the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Till then, have a wonderful time.